From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Greg Bicouvaris along with Colleen. Glad you're with us. Sports Scene every Saturday on the radio and WPMH at 10 a.m. and TuneIn.com by typing WPMH in the search bar, as well as on Twitter and YouTube. Tell your friends about Sports Scene. Twitter at Greg Bick. That's GREGBIC. Add me, as well as on YouTube as well, GREGBIC. Subscribe as well. Thanks to our military and also our great website, gjbtv.com, by clicking the YouTube link on the homepage. Guest lineup presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit. Phone line presented by at Greg Bick on YouTube as well. A lot going on, Major League Baseball, NBA, and so forth. Dr. Mary V. Bicouvaris Memorial Tennis Tournament was held recently. Thank you to all the players that played in it as well. 21 years. May my mother's memory be eternal. Go to gjbtv.com and go to the tennis tournament section page. Great interviews, excellent guests, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off. Thank you for listening to Sports Scene. We love our regulars and tourists who listen online and on the radio.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today. Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome to Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. At Greg Bick on Twitter, at Greg Bick on YouTube. Sports Scene every Saturday from 10 to 11 right here on WPMH. Tell your friends. Also, tunein.com by typing WPMH in the search bar from 10 to 11 on Saturdays. It's a pleasure to talk to our yearly guest, Cathy Dress. Cathy, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Very good as we're going into May here. Tell us about your business and the full name and everything.
All right, my full name is Cathy Dress, and I own Elements for Personal Healing, and I'm a holistic provider, as well as bringing a medical aspect of being a speech pathologist for many decades. And I work with people with energy balancing, craniosacral fascial release, Chinese medicine. I use the acupuncture points, the acupoints, but I don't use needles. So we balance you to be the best you can be, to let go of the things that aren't serving you in a healthy way, get yourself kind of out of your own way, so that you can live a full life.
Before we talk more about that, let's talk about your fascination with the Orioles. How did you get a love for the Orioles?
Oh, gosh. Back when I was a kid, we had a team called the Washington Senators. Do you remember them?
Absolutely.
And I lived up in the D.C. area. My father and I were senators. My father and I were Senators fans, and all of a sudden, they got traded to a whole other city, and so I kind of had to shift the allegiance over to the Orioles, and just became a diehard Orioles fan for years. Watched so many of the greats, and so it's interesting. I kind of got out of it last year a little bit for the fact that it was such a strained year for everybody. But I'm looking forward to really seeing what the season is holding. I know we've just started, but and I do wish the games in our area were not blacked out so I can see them more. But I do plan on getting up for a couple of games this year.
Absolutely. Always a lot of fun. And I think baseball, as we transition into your business, is a good way to escape the day-to-day minutia of life, whether you go to a day game or a night game. Just try to escape, whether it's baseball or a sporting event or even exercising yourself. Yeah.
Sports are great. And, I was just giving a talk the other day about, how to be the best you and really honoring your space. And it goes so well with athletics and the athletes themselves. Because if you can show up to that space, like, say, an Orioles game or a tennis match or even a golf game, whatever, because I was watching the Masters this past weekend, and if you can show up by letting go of all the preconceptions, you get to be present to that moment. And that's when things flow. That's when your life flows. That's when you flow, and you get to play the best game that you can play. And say, so that when you come off that field or off that course, then you can say, I gave it all I got. I did the best that I can, and I showed up. So if you've got preconceptions saying, oh, well, I lost this the last time, say you're going into a big match, or you're playing the same team that you maybe lost to the day before or even the last year before, if you're showing up with those preconceptions of, oh, I lost this the last time, that has you showing up with negativity. So changing the mindset. I did my best the last time, and I'm here to do my best this time, because it's a new race, it's a new game, it's a new course, it's a new day. And I know sometimes we get kind of over-told that, today's the first day of the rest of your life, but it really is true, because yesterday's gone.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes ago was gone. You can keep reliving it in your head. What good does that do you? Especially if it's negativity. So it helps, and what I help with clients is letting go of the past and where we are holding things in the body, because you can hold anything in the body at any time. Could be an emotion, could be a belief system, it could be just a memory. And if it's not working for you, if it's not doing you any good, it's time to let it go. And then you start to feel better. Your body starts to feel better. Your mind starts to feel better. That's what did you watch the Masters?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, well, Justin Johnson really beat himself up in a hole he did horribly on. I'm trying to think, it's either a triple bogey or more, but he was throwing beating his club against the ground, and you could see he was just literally kicking himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't play well the next couple of holes. He was still beating himself up over something that had already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you see a player like Schauffele, he learned from his moment, because he triple bogeyed the 16th on the last day. He's trying to fight to regain, to gain the lead. But he's like, all right, let me shake it off. And he kept such a good demeanor. He played well the last two holes. He knew he wasn't going to win, by the last hole, because he needed some miracle shots, but he did his best, and he played his best, and he left it all right there on the course. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, because the whole point is, when you're done with a relationship or done with a friendship or done something that's toxic or whatever, you got to let it go. And if, like in tennis, if I missed a point, I can't worry about the next that point over and over again, because it'll affect my next round of play.
Right. So imagine Serena Williams would have never been Serena Williams if she kept, holding on to the losses that she'd had either against her sister or other players. She has to let all that go. And whether you want to just take care of yourself by yourself, you can do some meditation, you can do some Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga, you can go see a psychologist if you'd like, or a sports psychologist. You can come and see me, for energy balancing, because there's a lot of neutral ground, actually, because we're both working with the psyche of the personality and the body, mind, and spirit. So with that, practice. It's not just practicing your game, but it's practicing the mindset, and whether holding on to negativity works for you, which usually doesn't, or whether you're ready to just go, okay, I have to be able to let it go. And you can have some fun with letting stuff go. You don't have to be all serious and toss it into a trash can or whatever, or dump it right where you are. I mean, if you want to have a lot of fun and just not think about things, pretend you got a UPS truck taking it away, or a cloud, or whatever, because it gets people out of their seriousness. Life's not meant to be serious and all work. Life's meant to be opportunities, yes, with challenges, but opportunities nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Now, why is it that relationships are so difficult that people tend to remember everything? I guess, you and I talked about the universe. If something's connected to the universe, it always comes back to you. But there are other times where you can just forget about a relationship altogether But others tend to linger, and that word lingering, could be things from the past, or your past marriage, or past girlfriend, or past job. Some things like that tend to linger more and sustain in your mind and body and spirit more than other things. And you're trying to move on, and you are moving on, but there's still reminders.
Well, usually when you're getting reminders or getting those lingering things, there's something there subconsciously that you need to work on, and that's where you need to get the reality check by either, like, if you've got a trusted friend that you can just lay everything out on the table with, so you can look at it. If you have nobody to talk to, you can go get an energy session, a few of them, because what we do is we bring up that subconscious. So I don't need people telling me everything that they've gone through for me to know, okay, this energy is blocked, this energy is dampened or deficient. We've got meridians that flow through our body, and the scientists even found them. And of course, those of us who have worked with meridians have, we're just kind of nodded our head and smiled and went, we've known that for thousands of years. Working with chakras, working with, where are we holding a memory? I've done a lot of cranial sacrofacial release on people. And then we'll get to some place where it's just, it's really tight, but there's something that has to be released. Maybe they're holding an emotion, or they're holding on to something. Even they're not willing, ready to consciously even tell a psychologist yet, or they're just not. They know that there's something there, but they don't know what it is. And that's why we get to that ground level, because we tune in to your body mind and we listen to it. Because the conscious mind, your mind will tell you stories. Those thoughts turn into stories, and the stories turn into beliefs. If you're told something long enough, you will start to believe it, even if it's really not true, but there's that repetition. So being able to just kind of tune into your body and following it, like if you're in a relationship that really, deep down is not working, or you know that you find yourself tensing up when you're around that other person, or, and we do call them, there are some relationships where they're energy vampires. And being able to dodge an energy vampire, there's a lot of characteristics that kind of jump out at you for their personalities. And it doesn't make right or wrong. You can't change them. All you can change is your response to it and not letting it get into you. Some personality characteristics might be that, that they're narcissists and have aggressive personalities. They don't take no for an answer, so they start to wear you down after a while. So you just give in because it's too much effort to fight it.
Yeah.
They blame everybody else for their own hurtful actions. They're guilt trippers or manipulators. They always want something for you, but they don't reciprocate. So those are the people who always call you up wanting a favor. But if you need the favor, they're never available. So those are kind of energy vampires. If anybody is basically, you feel like they're sucking the energy out of you, then, and you can't breathe very easily around them, that's an energy vampire. So what can you do? You can create your own boundaries. In Chinese medicine, we call that Wei Qi, and it's W-E-I. And Qi is usually spelled Q-I, but you may have seen it spelled C-H-I. But what Wei Qi is that's your healthy protective boundaries. So it's just on, above, and under the skin. So if people or situations are getting under your skin, that's you letting them in. So what's a good way to work on it? First of all, literally, you can shake off your day. You can stand in a good area, where you're not around, things that you can hit, and you can literally shake for 2 or 3 minutes and let go of your day and just kind of shake some energy around. Other things, learning to practice the word no. No is a powerful word, and you're not going to do it in retaliation or vengefulness. You're doing it as this doesn't feel good, so I'm going to say no. And then you practice it. It's like everything else, learning to ride a bike. You have to practice it. You're not going to go, do a bike marathon of 26 miles for, the very first time you get on. And following your body's clues. If you feel very contracted and drawn inward, you're not breathing too well, your shoulders are rounded forward, sometimes you kind of feel energetically beaten up, that's a clue that your body's given you. Because your body's never going to lie to you. Now, on the other side, if you feel expansive, your posture's good, your shoulders are back, you're breathing nice and deep, you feel kind of nice and light, that's a good sign. That's a good positive, I'm comfortable and I can breathe. And I can, I'm getting into this and I'm very into this situation or into this person. So learning to follow your body.
Right. Talking to Cathy Dress. Cathy, we have to take a break. Elements for Personal Healing. We'll come back with part 2 of our interview with Cathy Dress after these messages.
Sports Scene, Hampton Roads' premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg.
Welcome back to part 2 of Sports Scene with Cathy Dress, very distinguished guest right here from Elements for Personal Healing in Yorktown, but covers all of Hampton Roads. Her phone number is 757-598-2065. She'll give us all the website here and just information. But you mentioned energy vampires. You try to help somebody with a job. They say, where's my job applicant? Where's my next gig going to come from? Where's it going to come from? Every few minutes. And then, they disappear. Like you said, energy vampires, what's in it for me? But if they need something, they're ghosting you. And that's where ghosting comes from. Those are not real true friends. Those are fly-by-night friends that they're there for 3 or 4 months or 6 months or 8 months or a year, and then all of a sudden they're out of your life. Those are people that you just never needed in your life in the first place.
Well, sometimes they're there from the very beginning of your life. You can have family members who are energy vampires. And, between the friendships and the family, there are times in your life where you have to make that really tough decision that enough is enough. If it's a family member, I love you, but this relationship isn't healthy for me. Thank you. I love what Ayanla Vincent, has stated many times, is that, the most powerful prayer we can say when we have no other words is just thank you.
Right. And look at go ahead.
And thank you can be even a goodbye, because thank you is a closure. It's very close to amen within certain faiths. So it can be a beginning, it can be a closure. Just like in Hawaii, we had the word aloha that meant several things, and it was very much specific to whatever the situation was. Mm-hmm. But learning, with dodging energy vampires, the biggest thing for us to learn ourselves, if we feel like we are or have been in a relationship with them, as I said, learning the power of no and practicing it, following your body's clues, and creating those good, healthy boundaries, but also learning to trust yourself again. So if your gut instincts are saying enough is enough or run, follow your gut. Because your head's always going to try to rationalize and stay in that comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So always trust your gut. That's why you've got those wonderful old phrases, what's your gut say, what's your gut instincts say. That's because the gut is like your third brain, and it works very, very closely with the heart and the head. The head brain, if we have it divided up, it's left brain, right brain, but that's your masculine brain and your feminine brain. The masculine brain will always try to rationalize and linearize everything. So there's always, think of that as your, Houston, we have a problem. It's a big problem. It's the biggest problem we've ever seen. Whereas the feminine brain is, okay, I'm your perceptual side. Let's deal with what we have. All right, we've got a problem, Houston. All right, let's deal with it. Well, what that is that, that's a reality check for you. And then lastly, get yourself grounded. Mm-hmm. We're in a wonderful time of year of spring, and hopefully in the next several days the pollen count will come down. But if you can go on walks, if you can go barefooted out in the grass and just allow those electrons that come from the earth, that are scientifically proven, those feed us just like they feed nature. Getting grounded. If you can't get outside on any given day, or maybe because we have such a cold winter, there are other ways to be able to get yourself grounded so that you can think appropriately, and not just with your head brain, but also with your heart, which is where the true mind lies. That's why we know things by heart. And the gut brain, following those gut instincts.
Very nice. Talking to Cathy Dress. And Catherine, a couple things too. You mentioned so important. I remember a long time ago, my dad would always say when I was younger, who called who? But the more you think about it is like, if the energy is not equal, both aren't making an effort, whether it's a friendship, dating, a relationship, a business partnership. If it's always one-sided, that's not a relationship. If all of a sudden it's equally balanced, both are making calls and texting as well now in this day and age, and all of a sudden it just drops off from one other person, you can see signs that things aren't what they used to be.
Well, were they ever that in the first place?
Sure.
But, as I said, you could have family members, you can have work relationships. If you go into a meeting and you're always zapped by the time that you get out, as opposed to feeling really good, there was a lot of good, camaraderie and communication within there. Somebody's energies have kind of zapped that room. Could it be yours? Could it be someone else's? Sure. It could be either one or it could be both. If your Wei Qi, your healthy protective boundaries are low, then it's very easy to just, feel like you're running around this earth with a target on your back. Oh, why is it always me? If you ever remember the Harry Potter movies, Neville Longbottom, why is it always me? Having something done to him. And his Wei Qi, his characters was low. He didn't have a really good sense of self-love and self-worth. And that's the great thing for then the person who has been vampirized, so to speak, the one that you get the choice of either calling yourself a victim, which makes you into that powerless kind of groove, which is not a good place to be, or you can say, I'm worth more than that. And you can start getting yourself the help and working on that self-love and self-worth, because by helping yourself, you are then able to help others. Trying to help others by a level of worthlessness and powerlessness, you're just dragging them down with you.
But if both aren't making an effort, Catherine, to call and text, it's one-sided, or somebody wants to talk, let's say, a lot at night. There are people that don't want to talk on the phone at night. They don't want to give that type of energy. They've given their energy. You have a business during the daytime for a reason. You're not working the 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift or 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. I think a lot of people don't realize that we're all busy. We're all being stretched in all different directions. So it's hard sometimes to maintain a balance, especially over the phone, when now we're so accustomed just to texting everybody.
Yeah, and it's very, very difficult to text anything emotionally over a text.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes in a phone call, because you can't see the person in front of you. I mean, if at the very least you've got your Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype or whatever, you can at least see the other person. But then, we tend to read a lot into body language based on our own past history and our preconception. So we can't, it's not for us to work on the other person. It's for us to recognize and be aware, and that takes work. That takes a lot of energy work of our own to understand, I'm not in a give and take relationship. Am I the giver all the time, or am I the taker all the time? Because either way, it's an imbalance within your system. If you're the giver all the time, that's you not allowing yourself to receive, or you going, I'm only worth something if I'm constantly given. Well, then you're going to have that law of attraction. Somebody who's always taking will find you.
Yeah.
So if that's the kind of relationship that you want and you're satisfied with that, well, have at it then. If it's not, then it's up to you to help yourself to not be in that mode. And that takes some work, and it takes some practice. You've got a whole history that made you up, so it's up to you to go, the buck stops here.
That was Cathy Dress, 598-2065. Very informative guest. Sports Scene will continue after these messages.
It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, highlights, gjbtv.com, hamptonroadsonlinemall.com, hrsmhof.com, gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived audio and video. Question of the day to our esteemed producer and general manager, Colleen. Colleen, what was your first commercial station that you were heard on? Also, were you heard on college radio?
Well, yes, I got my start at college radio. We had a news talk format, so we did all of the different opportunities, sports and programming, news, running the board, all that kind of thing, and it was really fun. I got my start there, and then I moved on to a local Christian radio station in Florida as well, and did some programming there. Now, what did you do? What was your first job?
Yeah, it was at George Mason, my college radio station, where I cut my teeth. You really did cut the teeth. I remember one time, my freshman year during the holiday break, I was so bored about reading a book, I started reading a book on the college radio station. That's what you do. I did sports, of course, and all that other stuff. And then, of course, my first station I was ever heard on here locally was WTJZ. AM 1270, Eric Reynolds was the general manager in Hampton. That building is still there. And he let me cut my teeth as a 19 and 20-year-old.
Lots of fun. Lots of history there.
Yes, it is. Boy, it is still on the air today. Sports Scene will continue after these messages. It's a pleasure to interview my priest from Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church. I had a pleasure to be on his board for 8 years. He's been with us since 1999, been a priest since the late 80s from Illinois. Father George, how are you, my friend?
Doing fine, Greg. Yourself?
Very good, very good. Let's start off with the whole Easter season. Of course, the non-Greek Orthodox people just experienced Easter in April. We're going to have ours May the 2nd. The biggest question I'm sure you're asked all the time is, why are they different dates? Sometimes they're on the same day.
It is, and the formula is different, and we probably wouldn't have enough time in this interview to go through the whole. But the formulas that we use are different than the others. But nevertheless, the bottom line is that we're coming together to walk the walk with Christ as He did that week, and calendar differences should not make for differences spiritually or emotionally.
Yes, absolutely. And this time of the year, we've always talked about it when we've done past radio shows over the years, is it's a cleansing, it's a new beginning for all of us, not just the new year, 2021, but we've gone through a lot the last 13 months. We have
as a community, as a nation, as a world, and what we need to do is bounce back. We've been through this for 13 months, and hopefully the light is at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to be able to get back to normal and progress from this, and really take a good look at ourselves as not only as Christians, but also as a community of where we've been and where we need to go.
Right, because we're in the state of Virginia, and of course rules are different indoors and outdoors. You talk to your fellow priests around the country all the time. They've got different rules. What are the exact rules if somebody wants to attend a church service in Newport News at Saints Constantine and Helen as far as indoor capacity?
Well, we're allowed 50% of our capacity and with 6-foot distance. And what we do require here is that all our parishioners, whoever they are coming to services, must register so we have an idea, an account of who's here and the numbers. We don't want to exclude anyone, but we need to have anyone who's coming to pre-register, and we encourage our people to do that, and they've been very good about it, doing it, and we need our people to continue to do that.
And I think that's true at a lot of businesses as well.
Yeah.
Talk about the difference between the different Christian, in a nutshell, between, let's say, Episcopalian, Methodist, Baptist, which you know a lot of the priests in the area that are priests in that denomination, compared to Greek Orthodox and maybe Catholic.
Well, again, we all started from somewhere, and what the individual denominations believe. In many cases, we have major similarities between. But the bottom line is that we're all doing God's work, and in all of the denominations that you mentioned and all the other ones, we all have some of the same issues. We're seeing that there's been a decline in church attendance, not just from the virus, but before that. We're seeing that the older generations who were very devout and were very devout about their attendance, we see in the generations after that, we see some differences, and that people are not attending services like they used to, and it causes for us to really look at what we need to do in our individual congregations and reach out to these people, the unchurched, or those who, for whatever reason, aren't going to church, and we really need to address that and see what we can do as not only as individual parishes, but as a Christian community, and what we need to do to get our people back and why they left.
Mm-hmm. We're talking to Father George. We'll talk a little sports in just a few moments, but talking to him, he's been with Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church since 1999. And Father, there's always, you mentioned attendance and so forth. It's a double-edged sword because since March of 2020, a lot of services around the country, Greek and non-Greek, were on the internet, on Facebook or some type of webcast. I guess that has also spoiled people from not physically attending church too, if they choose that route.
Well, it helped us when we first got into the pandemic because we were live streaming our services when we were only allowed, 5 people in the church. Mm-hmm. So live streaming was very popular, kept people connected to their individual church. I have parishioners who have told me they've watched live streams of other churches across the country and other parts of the nation. So it's also helped us connect when they could not come. We've been able to have 50% occupancy since Memorial Day weekend of last year. Mm-hmm. So, but we still have some people who are connected with our church who might not live here anymore, live in North Carolina or further south, up north or across the Midwest, who have watched our services to stay connected with their former community. Mm-hmm. So it has helped. Anything that can help people stay connected with their parish is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Last year, us fellow board members was different because during Holy Week, it was not nobody was there except for the clergy for the most part, and y'all did a very great job connecting on the internet. Right. This year, how do you foresee Holy Week going in general as far as people there? Because there are going to be questions during that week because you're going to see people that normally don't go to church as much that might show up.
Well, again, they're going to have to register. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to register, and we will accommodate as much as we can. And we'll deal with the numbers. Our parish council, our ushers will deal with the numbers. But again, we're encouraging our people to register.
Absolutely. And of course that takes time, and you got to make an effort like anything else. We can register to go to amusement park, so we should be able to register to go to church, which is a lot more important than any amusement park, right, in my opinion. Father, let's talk about, as Christians every day, we should go about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And I guess that's the biggest thing is a lot of times during your sermons, you say, try to forgive, forgive others, try to work with people that you normally don't like working with, because you made a really good point a little bit over a year ago or 2 years ago in a church sermon that you said sometimes, there are people that we really don't necessarily socialize with at church, but we all have to come together for the greater good.
Well, that's the theme of Lent, is repentance and changing of mind. It's a time for us to take a good self-look. We look at ourselves in the mirror. We need to take a good look at ourselves spiritually. Who are we? Where are we? And where we need to be. And none of us is perfect. Never met a perfect person yet, and we won't. But, being in a community, no matter what size, you deal with other people, and sometimes friction does occur. And we need to be beyond that, forgiving, and not carry grudges. It's unfortunate that too many of people carry grudges, and they don't forget, but they need to forgive.
Yeah, I guess the biggest difference with our church, even with you, I guess, as a young person too, back in the day in Illinois, is like a lot of times in the old Greek Orthodox Church in the 70s and 80s, it used to be people that we all started off as either altar boys or the Goya or Greek school. We all grew up together in that Greek faith. Now, as you said, there's a lot of mixed denominations all coming together that might not become an Orthodox till they're 35, 40, or even older than that. It's not the same old like it was back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, we've been blessed here. We've already had 4 chrismations. We've had 4 people convert to Orthodoxy just in this year of 2021.
Wow.
So we're very happy with that. And it wasn't because of marriage. They found Orthodoxy. They're attending our church. They've become part of the community. And we've been very blessed with that. And not just us, but other parishes as well. What we need to do is be able to reach out and be embracing of those who are searching. People are searching for churches, and they will not go where they don't feel comfortable.
Right, and faith is so important 24/7. Father, we got a big event coming up. It's been a little bit different in 2020. We had a carry out in the fall. We had a drive-through last spring for our Newport News Greek Festival. We're going to do, once again, a carry-out, grab-and-go type event June 3rd through June 5th. Explain the whole concept of the carry-out event to the public.
Well, our event will be a carry-out. We always do our festival, as you know, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after Memorial Day. What we're going to do this June 3rd through the 5th, we will open for dinner on Thursday and open lunch and dinner on Friday and Saturday and be carry-out. The menus will be posted, and people will be able to know what we're having. And we were able to accommodate the lines. People did not have to wait very long like they did through the drive-through that we had in August of last year. We will accommodate you. We will be able to get you in and out of here. Because of the coronavirus and the regulations, there will not be tables, the big tent, like a lot of our people are used to. We just cannot do that, and I think everybody understands why. Hopefully in the future we will get back to that as soon as we can, but what we're saying is that it will be a carry-out. You'll place your order, we will fill the order, and we hope that you'll enjoy our food with your family and friends wherever you're at.
Absolutely. And Thursday, June 3rd, will be from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, the 4th and the 5th, will be from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. For more, all that information is now on the website, newportnewscreekfestival.org. Father, I'd be remiss to talk about some of your Chicago sporting teams. First of all, the Bears, they're changing quarterbacks once again.
Yeah, they are. But my focus right now is on baseball and the no-hitter that the White Sox pitcher threw on the 14th of April.
Mm-hmm.
It was always a pleasure to go to these games as a child and as an adult. I'm a Chicago fan. White Sox, Bears, Blackhawks. Glad to see that I lived long enough to see the Cubs win the World Series. But I guess the sporting world is in transition just like everything else.
Mm-hmm. And who would have thought that we'd have had the same manager for the White Sox in the early 80s and Tony La Russa as you do now? He's
back, and we're right now we're at 500 in a division that many of us have picked to win, and some have even picked us to go to the American League Championship Series against New York. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Very good, and of course, who knows what the Bulls are going to do in the future too. All right, Father, leave us with a spiritual note that we can all hang on to.
Well, I just hope that we're all stay focused as we are. Hopefully, there will be end of this pandemic, and that we take a good self-examination or look at ourselves and try and be a better person.
Mm-hmm. Our first guest was Cathy Dress from Yorktown. She does counseling. What type of counseling services does the Greek Orthodox Church do?
Well, again, as the pastor, those who seek counseling from me, I do it. If there are cases that I can't handle, I do refer them to the Peninsula Pastoral Counseling Center or other venues that we have for counseling here. When you deal with so many different age groups, there's different issues.
Yes.
Everything from the little child to those who've been married for a long time. So you have to deal with each person's issue and hope you can help them in their needs.
Father George Chioros right there from Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church in Newport News, the priest since 1999. Thank you so much. Sports Scene will continue.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, what tees me off? People that are under deadline and you're waiting for the decision maker to finally give you an answer, like, is the commercial okay? Is it okay?
That's true. You're always waiting on somebody else to get the approval and get something done for you.
I'm a big fan of the weather, one thing, the 7-day forecast, sometimes the 10-day forecast. Everything else I really don't care about, but it seems like it flashes on the computer or the TV too fast. Let us process it a little bit.
Figure out what's going on, but it always changes, Greg. You know that.
Exactly. Employees being overheard saying, I'm too busy to assist others, especially at a restaurant.
I'm too busy. Oh, that's not good. That's not a good look for anybody, any business.
We've dealt with this in all walks of life, male and female, multiple personality people.
People who change their moods often. It's difficult.
Procrastination is never good.
No, we all tend to waste some time on things and not do what we want to do when we need to do it.
Nothing wrong with taking a break, just don't take a permanent break. Sports Scene will continue after this. On the next edition of Sports Scene, we're going to talk about tennis, which is a great outdoor sport for social distancing, and a lot more. Talk about the wonderful sport of tennis on the next edition of Sports Scene. Welcome back to Sports Scene. Our featured monthly guest is George McClain from The Marksman. George, good to chat with you, my friend.
Same here, Greg. Hope you're doing well.
Very good, as you as well. George, we start the topic off with a lot of the mass shootings. Wasn't a mass shooting in Virginia Beach, but there was a lot of chaos in the oceanfront several weeks ago, and there was gunfire. That's never good, whether it's daytime or nighttime. This time it happened, in the evening.
Yeah, it's never good, and sometimes you can anticipate some of that if you happen to be in the area and you see things starting to go awry. But most of the time it's just spur of the moment, and there's no way you can tell. So, the biggest thing is to be prepared for anything at any time when you're out and about. But in times like these, it's probably better to not be out at all.
You're not kidding, and people are letting their guard down now because the weather is getting warmer. People are out later, but Virginia Beach is a major, major tourist destination, just like Williamsburg is, and the last thing they want to do is start the season off with any type of violence for the business people and the local people that live there and work there.
Well, very true, but and for right now, I caution everyone. There's a lot of law changes that's being talked about. They're trying to get. And Virginia Beach is one of these that's not very supportive of self-defense measures to start with. So I caution people to do the research. If you're going to be carrying and make sure that it's legal where you are.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, George. You go into different Wikipedia pages and you see Colorado, and they have a list of their shootings. That's not what they want to be known for. I mean, Colorado's a great state for spas and skiing and the Broncos, of course, but that's pretty sad that that's the age we're living in. And like you said, you got to be proactive no matter where you're at, whether you're driving or in a large group. But nobody should really be in a large group, and that's the whole thing that's troubling about this.
Well, yeah, that's why I was saying that you probably really shouldn't be out. Obviously, there's certain daily activities that we have to take care of. We all have to eat, so you have to go to the grocery store, and I can guarantee you're not going to be the only one, in the store. So you've got that to do, but we still rely upon social distancing. We rely upon the mask, even though there's a huge debate, even by Dr. Fauci, especially, I guess, because of him, of his earlier comments that they were useless, and then they were, and then they're not. Now that they're mandated, so that doesn't put confidence, in the citizens, when you get that kind of response. So again, it's a shame that we're have to face these things that we do, but. For the most part, I think most are staying home. The ones that go out like that, they, in a lot of cases, I think they're looking for trouble, and it happens, especially in the Virginia Beach deal. So I don't know what psychologically, I don't know what makes people act like that. I suppose if I did, we could have a fix for everything, but that's not the case.
Talking to George McClain from The Marksman, and folks, before we talk about the store and the hours and so forth, I have been fully vaccinated. I don't mind saying that. I do a radio and TV program and do several commercials for clients, and I feel a lot better. There was no issues there. I did Moderna. Feeling a lot better, meaning confidence-wise, that I've been fully vaccinated. I had no issues or side effects. George, you can answer, or you don't have to answer. Have you been vaccinated?
I haven't yet. I'm getting mine with the VA, and I'm scheduled for that on the 28th of this month. So the date's etched in stone now, so we'll just wait till my turn.
Very nice, and glad that you are. All right, let's talk about the store. I mean, every time I go there, I'm always amazed, George. People always talk about the range and the gun shop and ammunition and classes and everything that you have there, but all the accessories that you have there as well for people to browse, shop, and visit and buy. There's a lot of good accessories right there in the lobby of your store.
Yeah, we try to keep everything in stock that shooters would need, regardless of whether you're shooting for sport or self-defense. So there's just certain things that you need when you've got firearms, cleaning supplies, obviously, but it goes even more than that. Different types of holsters, if you carry, and the list just goes on and on. So. And we've tried to maintain that even through this pandemic deal. We're still restricted with the number of people we can have on the range, and a lot of other restrictions as far as renting guns, and so a lot of things that are profit centers for the business that we no longer make any profit on. So things are running tight, but we're still running. So we're able to hang in there where a lot of other folks have not been so fortunate, and they've had to shut down. So we consider ourselves very, very lucky right now.
I mentioned at the beginning of the segment that we did about some of the mass shootings. Have you noticed an increase in ammo and gun buying since then, George?
Not really. I don't know that you can get much more than where we were before. And the issue is because product is so hard to come by, especially with the ammo. Even though it's supposed to be loosening up, we haven't seen enough of it to say, yeah, ammo is readily available. In all calibers, it's not back to that point at all. And as far as the firearms go, they are the manufacturers, I guess, are pumping out everything that they can build, and everybody that's in the businesses across the United States that's in the gun businesses typically all get their firearms from the same major distributors, and we're no different. So we're in line to do that too. So we get what's available, not necessarily what we want. If someone wants to come in and place an order. But it's taking what's available and then the customer coming in and making a choice out of what's there. So it's difficult it's more difficult for the customer. They may find something from another dealer out of state that they have to have shipped into us, and then come in and do the paperwork here, and that's an option that everybody has. Just in case you didn't know that. So that part makes it a little bit easier, but you have to get online and find the dealer that may have the particular firearm that you're looking for, and then call them up, make arrangements to have the gun shipped into us. So all these stories that you've heard about being able to buy a gun on the internet are totally false. I mean, technically, yes, you can because that's what you're doing. You're paying the dealer that has that firearm, but you can't get that firearm shipped directly to you at home. It's got to ship to a federally firearms licensed dealer in your state, and then you have to go to that dealer and do all the government paperwork in order to take possession of that firearm.
Very good. Talking to George McClain from the Marksman. George, what's the status with ammo? We hear varied reports, high, low, middle of the road. What's the status on ammo?
Well, 9mm is still scarce. We will have a little bit. Those who do have it, I've seen cases where the cost has just been astronomical. We refuse to take advantage of folks, and I mean, if we raise our prices on ammo, it's because the wholesale prices to us have increased. But I've seen situations where that's not the case. That for 9mm ammo, I've seen prices as high as $1 a round. So you're for a 50-round box, you're paying $50, and that's on the high side. That's people shouldn't do that, but there are those out there who will take advantage of all that, and that happens. So be careful. A lot right now, what you're seeing is probably from the European or countries, and a lot coming in from Russia. These fire, I haven't seen a problem at all with them firing, but a lot of ranges, including mine, won't let you use them because there is a steel core in the bullet itself, in the projectile, and that just tears up over time. Tears up the backstop. Plus, it's a ricochet hazard. That doesn't kind of disintegrate, and it doesn't mold itself like lead does. Steel is steel, and it's going to bounce around, and so we do not allow that to be used on our range. So if you're using it and shooting outside somewhere, that's probably fine. But just be careful of what the range requires of the type of ammo that you acquire.
Talking to George McClain, the owner of the Marksman Firearms Training Center and Indoor Shooting Range on Facebook. Like them. Phone number is 872-4130, area code 757. Of course, the marksman.com. Of course, George's got a lot of good content on his Facebook and website as well. And George, not really related to guns, but safety. And we always talk about home business, on the road safety, every show that we do. There's been a lot of theft for catalytic converters, unfortunately, throughout Hampton Roads. People leaving their car out, just minding their own business. Sometimes they attack businesses because they can get several cars at once. Obviously, cars can have alarms too. You have cameras. What do you recommend? I always tell people, if you got a garage, put your car in the garage, because idle minds, are not good.
True. The best thing around the home is having security cameras. And while that may not prevent, issues from happening, at least you get it documented and can maybe tell who did it. The other thing would be, as I have done my own home, have automated several things. So at certain times, especially at night, this is home versus businesses where the business isn't open all night long, so the business gets left by itself. But motion detectors or whatever, and if it's some are pretty intelligent, so it can discern a person from, say, a cat, and it will set off an alarm, which will chase any would-be evildoer away. Excuse me. And so there's a lot of options out there like that, and it really depends on how much you can afford to invest and stuff like that, and your technological know-how if you want to do it yourself or have somebody coming in and installing a security system. But with all the events that we've talked about, even just to today, but the recent past, from a year or so ago up through now and probably into the future for quite some time, having a security system is probably more prudent now than what it ever has been. So that would be the first and foremost thing is being prepared in that regard, and then letting the police do their job. Give them a call if you need them, and saving your personal self-defense for intrusion into the home where someone puts you in that reasonable fear of death or serious bodily harm of yourself or a family member. And then you can take whatever action you deem necessary to defend yourself.
Talking to George McClain, more and more people are out and about during the spring. Final few moments with Mr. McClain here on Sports Scene. Don't forget, go to YouTube, type in George McClain Sports Scene. That's McClain, and you can see archived shows, or go to Greg Bick on YouTube as well, GregBic. Every show we do is archived on YouTube and social media. George, explain to the person out there that might be nervous about open carry when they go to a big box store or grocery store. Those people are properly trained and usually go by all the proper rules, but tell that to the common folk out there listening.
Well, most will have been trained. There are some, obviously, who aren't. The biggest thing is knowing, again, what the laws are and what the wishes of this big box store is. There's a lot of them that prohibit firearms, so you need to be aware of that. But if you see someone who is carrying a holstered firearm and it's open, know that that's for the most part, in the state of Virginia, it's still at this time, that is a legal activity. That doesn't mean that they're carrying a gun and going into the store to to hold the place up or to shoot everybody. Okay, the ones that have that in mind, you're not going to see them kind of advertising their firearm. Even though Virginia is an open carry state, but because for the reason that you bring this up, it causes when people see a firearm, it causes that concern. Is why I really push that if you're going to carry, get a concealed carry permit, concealed handgun permit is what we call them, and conceal the firearm. You're doing yourself a favor by lessening everybody else questioning what you're doing. It's none of their business, obviously. So I recommend that you go that route. But if you do open carry, and that's your right to do it, within this state. But if you happen to be someone who's not a gun, person, and you see someone doing that, just understand that's a legal activity. It's no reason to be grabbing your cell phone and calling 911 and say there's a guy walking around out here with a gun.
Mm-hmm. Give us the store hours, George. Monday through Saturday, I assume.
Yep, still Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're still closed on Sundays, except for some concealed classes, and those will be published. You can they're on our Facebook typically page, or you can call, and so we're still trying to do some of those. But as far as regular business on Sunday, we're still closed on that.
Very good. And, of course, for the person walking in there for the first time, there's a lot of options, whether it's guns or ammunition, accessories, browsing, talking to the employees, or taking a class. There's something really for everyone.
Well, there is. And, of course, right now, you're not going to be able to just walk in. The door's locked. But just knock on the door, because it's if you've ever been there before, the front counter is right there at the door. So people, the reception folks that's working there, they'll see you, and they'll come to the door and inquire. If what you're kind of directed, if you're looking at guns or inquiring about their classes, or want to take a look around for some supplies, and then depending on the load in the lobby, they'll let you in, making sure that you have face mask on. And one thing that I do want to caution folks about when you do that, if you're wearing a hoodie and you got your hood up, we're going to make you take it down. And if you refuse to take it down, we're not going to let you in. So this is a security thing for our own employees and customers who are in there. And if you're in there for just to shop, look around, you should have no problems, taking that hood down. But we don't want people coming in there. You're going to have a mask on. You put a hoodie on, and the only thing visible is your eyes. That's for us. That's a bad scene. That's a bad call. So just be aware of that, and that only affects a very, very, very minute part of our customer that will come in there. Most are totally understanding about needing the mask, because that's required to do that. And so we work with you as best that we can, given the guidelines that we have to operate by. But just come in, knock on the door, they'll let you in, and you'll find out what you want and help you take care of all the questions that you have, point you in the right direction to things that you're looking for, and let you go and have your own private time with that. You're not going to have someone standing over your shoulder the whole time you're in the store. Yeah,
nobody should be a distraction walking into a public building, because there are some stores that do not let people have hats on for any reason. And a lot of times when police officers are making arrests, they will tell the subject to take the hat off immediately. It can be harboring for negative stuff. So with that said, everybody needs to be safe. And of course, the less drama, the better when walking into a public business. George, all the best, my friend. We look forward to talking to you again next month. All the best in health and happiness to your family. Want to thank our guests today, Cathy Dress, Father George Chioros, and George McClain. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link for archived audio and video of Sports Scene and much, much more. At Greg Bick on YouTube, at Greg Bick on Twitter. For Colleen, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Thanks for listening to Sports Scene each Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on WPMH, and we'll talk to you soon.